Okay. Well, I will call the meeting to order. We welcome any of our guests in the audience. And, of course, a special welcome to the board members and a very special congratulations to Russell, who will be following in my footsteps. So we're glad to have everybody here. You have the agenda in front of us, and so I will entertain at this time a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Okay, the motion is made second, and it carries unanimously. We do have one public comment, and that is from Danny McIntosh, and his topic of concern is Jamie. What is this?
Jamie McIntosh.
Excuse me.
Not another.
Oh, no.
I wish we could clone him.
That's foreboding. All right.
Is this the same Jamie McMahon?
It is.
My goodness, Jamie.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. Soon to be former mayor, mayor-elect. We got more mayors around here.
That's right. You're a former mayor, current mayor, mayor-elect. Lord.
My congratulations go to Russell.
Thank you.
We look forward to strong leadership. That's what we look forward to around here. I'm sorry I didn't get to be with you last month. Sharon was cooking supper for the EMS. When something like that happens, that means I'm busy. So I couldn't get here. Come in, Chief.
Welcome, Niles.
The, one thing I want to say about Jamie McIntosh is my congratulations go to him. If you have not read the article on the front page of the paper this week,
I have.
you need to sit down and read every word of it real slow to get the full meaning of it. I can't quote a lot of the things in there right now. I'm just not committed to memory yet, Jamie, about what all you're going to be doing. But he's going to be voting the interest of all of North Carolina in an organization stretches from Kansas to Florida. That's big. That is big, right there. Congratulations, Jamie. I want to thank Bunny for your service here. It's been good, I think, and I hope you've enjoyed it. There's ups and downs, high points, low points, I know, and all of that. And to Teresa for 8 years, thank you for your service.
My pleasure.
You and I think, are going to be in our own club, and that club's going to be the living former mayors of the town of Burnsville who have not yet run away, because all the rest of them are gone.
That's true.
They left the city limits. That's all I'll say about that. But it's been good, I think, for everybody in the town's got a lot of things going on, and we hope that continues. And I'm sure that next month there'll be more people here, and we'll have some cheese and cracker and things like that. So we'll look forward to it. And thank you all for your service. Thank you for being here.
It was a pleasure, and I think we have done a very good job in running our town in a professional manner throughout these 8 years. So my personal appreciation to the board that I have served with. I will miss you. Don't know that you'll miss me, but
Oh, we'll see you around.
I will miss you. It's been an honor. Okay, and thank you for those nice words, Danny. And Jamie, we are very proud of you, as always. Okay, we have the review of the minutes of October the 7th. We've all had a chance to read them. Is there a motion to approve them and or amend them?
I'll make a motion to approve as read.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, are we all in agreement? Good, so the minutes are approved as read. Public hearings. We don't have one. There are no public hearings. I realized that, but I thought that, well, we moved to the presentations. We're happy to have from High Country Council of Government. Our first presentation is the GIS presentation by Jessica and Tatiana, oh, excuse me. So the microphones are now yours, girls.
Thank you all for having us this evening. I'm Jessica Welburn, GIS Planner at the High Country Council of Governments. And we completed the stormwater mapping project for the town, so we appreciate you having us tonight so that we can present it to you and just go over what the project entailed. So we received a 205J grant from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. It's a water quality management planning grant, federally funded, and here in North Carolina, DEQ administers it. It's a limited and competitive funding grant, and it's available only to the COGS in the regional planning agencies in North Carolina to do water quality planning. We were awarded last October of 2020, and the work started in April and completed it this month. So the purpose of the project was to build a detailed, accurate spatial database of all the stormwater infrastructure and town limits across the public and the private property. So we have a very highly accurate map, GIS-based data, and it can serve as a tool to help the town plan future stormwater infrastructure projects, address any future flooding that may happen, capital improvement planning, and also, a big part of the project was to try to identify any possible sources of infiltration that happens during the big rain events in the sewer system. And so I'm going to introduce Tatiana because she did most of the field collection, or all of the field collection, and composed the final deliverables and the big map. We have a big system map over here that we'll leave for you to view if you would like. So Tatiana McGee is a GIS and regional planner at the Council of Governments, and I'm going to let her go over the field collection process.
Okay.
Hi, yes, my name's Tatiana. You probably saw me. I was in the golf cart riding with Jeff around town. So the field work wouldn't have been possible without Jeff, honestly. We both learned a lot. So again, we do have the big map over here for you to be able to see. Overall, the project, the most important deliverable is what Public Works, what we installed today is an app on their phone as well as on a desktop computer, so you can zoom in and get the attributes for all of the point data. So I'm just gonna go over what it was that Jeff and I collected. The first thing is we collected 762 inlets. So with those inlets, the attributes were like, what type of inlet was it? Was it a catch basin? Was it a pipe inlet? Was it a slab top manhole? And with those, we would have information if there was any pipe coming into it, what was it made out of, what was the diameter, what direction was it coming from, and then if there was a pipe coming out of it, same information, what was it made of, what was the diameter, what direction was it coming out of. And having that information, I would then go into the office and manually put in culverts. So I would have to look at all of the inlets and discharges and look at the directions that they were going and manually connect them. So the culverts on here, you'll see it in the legend. Another attribute that was present all across the board of all of the data that I collected was their condition. It was very poor, poor, fair, good, and very good. And that also helps Public Works be able to go in and see maybe like areas of interest. We also collected 254 storm discharges, either overflow or outfalls. There weren't that many overflow points. Those are usually found in the bigger culverts of town, like at the gas station right up at Highway 19. It was also getting information of where it's discharging to. Was it discharging to the stream? Was it discharging to the surface? And if it was discharging directly to the stream, how high was it? Was it dumping into the stream, dumping directly into it? And also, what was the receiving stream? The stormwater has two primary discharge points in the town. The right side of town discharges into Little Crabtree Creek, and the west side of town discharges into Pine Swamp Branch. So you can kind of see on the map, and it's a little better with what Public Works has. You can see ultimately it's kind of just going down and right into the creeks. We also got 257 virtual drain lines, which is where water naturally goes. These aren't man-made features. And these were determined whenever Jeff and I were riding around. I would just draw in where I saw like where water would flow. We got 336 open drain lines, which are man-made like ditches. And again, I just drew them in as we were riding around. And we got 921 culverts. So we weren't able to look inside of the culverts or anything about their condition, but we did get the material, diameter, any notes about them, and outflow direction. So determining the condition of the culverts wasn't really possible. We got 13 detention areas, 51 other points, and 9 possible buried features. And those were the numbers of everything that we got. And again, it was a really big thanks to Public Works and Jeff specifically, since he's the one who drove me around to get all of this done. And yeah, this map is here for your viewing, and if you have any questions, you can let Jessica and I know.
Well, let's just clarify, this kind of a survey benefits the town in what regards?
It was primarily for the use of Public Works, essentially, to sort of then be able to map water and sewer and have a greater inventory with all 3 of them of how the system is working. We met today with Sean from
Yes.
Public Works and like signed him into the handheld map that he has access to, as well as the desktop. So then different people within the department can sign into it and be able to be out in the field and like know where something is located. Or then if they do maintenance on it, they can then put in a point and then we'll go into at the COG and maintain the database. It also, from what I heard today, FEMA really likes having records of maintenance that's done on stormwater infrastructure, and this provides that service.
Okay, so it serves several good purposes for us.
It's good record keeping, and then it's helpful to know what you have and where you have it and what condition it's in.
Good. Well, we've been missing that for some time, so we appreciate the 2 of you coming to do that, and I'm sure Jeff was very entertaining.
Yeah, he was very helpful.
Were you able to differentiate or identify on the map which structures have live water in them all the time? So it
We
is-
have a flow with attributes that are yes or no.
Okay.
Which you can't see on the paper map, but the application on the desktop and Arc Reader and on Sean's phone and the Surface has it on there.
So
So
it's
you
not visible on that map?
So they're attributes. The map just shows you the locations of things, but in the application or on the computer itself, like if you were to see a catch basin, you could click on it and get all the information on it on the screen.
I see.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you would know if there's flow present or not. And then there were a couple of things where like maybe there was flow present in one, but there wasn't flow present in another.
Okay. Any other questions for the girls? Well, thank you very much for obviously a job well done.
Thanks. I hope it's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. You all are welcome to stay as long as you like, and we hope you do, but if you need to mosey on back towards Boone, we understand. So we'll leave it up to you. It's always a pleasure to have Alan Cook here. He is really a wonderful employee of Mayland Community College with the Small Business Center, and he is here to tell us some good things about what has been going on. Alan, it's always a treat to have you.
It's a pleasure to work with Ms. Teresa in the town of Burnsville. I've got a couple handouts. I'm like real flexible, so we can do, I got the PowerPoint, but I also got a friend, so I'm just gonna, I don't know how many I have, so I'm just gonna kinda let y'all look around and think I have enough, but I'm gonna need one to present off of. So my name's Alan Cook, I'm the director of Mayland Small Business Center.
Thank you, Alan.
And part of our service area is Yancey County, because Mitchell, Avery, and Yancey counties.
How long have you been with,
About 6 years. So I've been in service with the state in different capacities. So my first job with the state was with DES, Department of Employment Services, and that was known as the Unemployment Office. Then went over to Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act, where that was a mail-in program through Commerce. And then in 2015, I changed over to the Small Business Center. So I've bounced around. But my passion is small business because not only do I talk about it, not only do I work with my customers, I am a small business owner. I have 3 side businesses. And I always preface that my wife has 3 side businesses. So if she wasn't operating them, I don't think they would do very well. But yes, I'm glad to be here with y'all today. I want to talk to you a little bit about our Yancey Business Builders Breakfasts. I want to talk to you a little bit about what Small Business Center does and what we got going on with the help of the town. So if you'll look at this presentation I've got, we'll start kind of going through that and talking a little bit about things. Number one, I want to talk to you a little bit for those who do not know about the Small Business Center. You know, we always say we help get businesses going and growing. That's the way I always say it. But we provide free and confidential business counseling to startups and existing businesses. So, you know, if you're thinking about starting a business, you got a neighbor that's thinking about starting a business, we're free, we're confidential. We're going to try to put resources there to get that business started. And then if you're an existing business, I've been working with a ton of marketing campaigns with our communities, with our towns in the 3 counties that I serve. But I'm going to tell you something. Burnsville is the most robust entrepreneurial community of my 3 counties. And that's something to be proud of because we do have some very active business ecosystems in our area. So, you know, I love being in Burnsville. So the Small Business Center, we offer a lot of free classes. So, you know, when COVID was going, we was running entrepreneurship classes via Zoom to the point that I think my clients have pretty much got deer in the headlight blues with Zoom now. It's kind of like they're zoomed out. And we're looking forward to getting back in person. Small Business Center is funded via the North Carolina State Legislature. We're what's called a categorical in the community college. So I work under Mayland Community College in the community aspect of things. I'm not necessarily an entity for the students that are coming on there getting classes for credit and things like that. I'm housed in the college. I'm paid through the college, but that's a set-aside fund by the state legislature. So that's we're built a little different than your typical community college employee in that we're funded. We have a base allocation, and then every other aspect of our funding is done through economic impact. So if I'm not working, I'm not getting much more funded than the base. And so we're graded by the jobs we create, the jobs we retain, and the businesses we start. So, you know, it's to our incentive, and I like that model for government employees. We should be graded by how much we're getting stuff done. We should be incentivized. So that's a neat thing about Small Business Center. Anyways, I think about all of you know about Small Business Center. I look in this room and I see a lot of folks that I've crossed paths with. And, you know, I'll leave it at this with the Small Business Center because I wanted to talk about that some, but that's not all about this presentation this evening. Small Business Center is a resource for the community, for existing businesses, for our town merchants. I focus in and I will pay presenter fees to get subject matter experts to talk to our businesses, to our entrepreneurs. I want applicable information so they can make decisions. I'm not really big on academia. I'm big on let's apply it. I'm big on social media tweaks and marketing. I'm big on do I got my Google business profile? I'm big on can we run our QuickBooks and what's our business health looking like financially? So these are things that you implement into real world business. This isn't macroeconomic theory. So I always want to make sure that, you know, my clients know we're doing stuff to adjust that business in real time, in real life, and applicable. So, like I said, enough about the small business. But how have we helped here? That's something I ran some numbers on the Small Business Center. So, I ran the past 5 years, and I was able to kind of build it off the Yancey County zip codes. So, in the past 5 years, through resources of the Small Business Center, and maybe, I don't say you started, anybody out here, you know, you started your business on your own. But if we provided just a little bit of help, a little bit of advice, facilitated maybe a part of the process, then we'll count that as economic impact. So during the 5 years, 23 new businesses have started with SBC assistance. We have also, through the existing businesses and the new startups, created 155 new jobs and retained, those are jobs that we might have lost, retained 150 existing jobs. So we talk about entrepreneurship being an economic driver. You know, that's 300 jobs impacted approximately through just being good to our entrepreneurs and being good to our business sector, providing them with resources, partnering up and giving them grants to help them get started. You know, coming in and working with these small businesses, you got a solo entrepreneur, you help them get a business started, they hire somebody. You know, it looks like you just helped with one, but when it starts adding up, that's a lot of impact in our community. So, you know, there is benefits to kind of helping out our small businesses, and there are community partnerships, and we love Jamie to death. I know y'all love him. EDC's partnered up with us.
You can't have him.
Yeah. You know, I'm not Mitchell County, so I'm just out with Mitchell Acre, Yancey County. I ain't trying to get it. I'm tickled. I like to learn from Jamie. So I'm coming. I live in Mitchell County, but now listen, folks, I love me some Yancey County. But yeah, anyways, Jamie has been excellent to partner with. He's really helped our small businesses, and you know, he understands, you know, the need to work with our industry, but also to share some of that love with our small businesses, and he's very involved with that, and I appreciate that partnership. And so the chamber has been really good. You know, and Ginger and Christy over the years have both been folks that have been real easy for a Small Business Center to partner with and get resources out to businesses. And of course, the town of Burnsville, appreciate y'all. I'll say this, and I know I got it on the next page of my presentation. You know, the town was one of the instrumental partners in starting a lot of our entrepreneurial networking that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But the other partners we got out here, Toe River Arts, and I always say, you know what, local merchants. You know, we always talk about these support agencies that come around, but you know, the partners that are some of the best ones to get input off of is your entrepreneurs. So one of the things that we're very proud of, and I say we're because everybody in this room had a hand in it, is the Yancey Business Builders Breakfast. And it all started when Denise Collier and Joyce Watts said, you know, it would be really nice if we could have a Main Street area business meeting to where we could all network and exchange ideas. And I said, well, you know what? I've got resources to bring in presenters, and I can help build registrations. But I said, you know, if I do one of these things, I kind of want some help, some boots on the ground. So Denise and Joyce talked to Miss Mayor Teresa Coletta, and we launched in, I bet it it was about 2016, we launched the Yancey Business Builders Breakfast. We brought flyers and dropped them off everywhere, and met in the town center. And people started finding value in networking. New business startups got to interact with existing businesses that had great advice. Deals were being made. Businesses were finding clients and contracts at these meetings, and we were always having a business-driven topic agenda. So the topic focus was from a survey of the merchants. We said, what's concerning you? What would you like to see in Main Street, Burnsville? And so we had many topics over the years, and I'll tell you some of the past areas of focus were how to find and retain employees. That was one of our most recent ones. We're going through this deal where it's hard to find and retain our employees nowadays. Good employees are hard to find. How to increase foot traffic was one of our first initiatives. We were talking to the Main Street merchants. How can we get more foot traffic? So we went into a dive on that. Who is your customer, Burnsville? Social media marketing, implementable things that business owners can do, seasonal marketing. And of course, we talked a lot about traffic counting and signage. And I underline signage because that's where I want to focus. We work, in many ways I speak a lot for, Jamie speaks a lot for, even Denise, Joyce, the merchants, we talk about things that we want implemented out of our meetings. And one of those is working with some signage. So you want to help our Main Street businesses, we could use some signage. I'm talking to decision makers, and a lot of you have been to our meetings. And we would love to find some funding for some signage. So the square, why would new signage be good? It's going to maintain a robust Main Street business district by facilitating new customers to discover Burnsville. Now, I'll talk about new customers. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, we'll get some signs in here. We will have the traffic backed up. Good signage will bring in buyers. It won't necessarily bring in traffic. There's people coming in, and then there's buyers. And if you have the right sign, you can get buyers coming in. And that's what we want. Buyers grow business.
Alan, excuse me for interrupting
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
But what happened with that point? Because we discussed it at great length. Did it come down to money?
It come down to DOT a lot.
Yes, that's true.
So DOT was kind of, we was up against some regulations on the, at least getting some parts of the bypass, but there's still some areas I think we can work within. We'll have to be mindful of how DOT works on that.
Are you familiar with how Spruce Pine got money for their signage?
I know EDC had a factor in it. I was talking to the director not too long ago, so EDC was able to get some money into, they contracted out with Pittman Signs to get some signage set up. And it was refurbishing old signs, so that might have been how they angled it through DOT. I think they were taking some that were kind of weathered down a little bit, giving them a brand new facelift, fighting over logos and content for the signs, but I think they might be there now. So yeah, I think EDC was a big factor on the signage over that way. So yeah, Square Main Street hold a competitive advantage when marketing Yancey County against other mountain counties. Think about that. We got them coming by on the bypass, and that's great. But if you put them by that beautiful square, that historic area, it does give us a competitive advantage. And I don't like to compare the three counties I work with, but for comparison, no one has a square that is as big and well situated. It's a competitive advantage for your area. So that's something that it would be to Burnsville's advantage to think about how do we showcase that. And signage is one of those when done right, it's one of those things that might can get that person there. So there's a thing called Turbo Tourist. So I'm a local in Mitchell County Heritage Tour Road Mountain, and we weigh that balance between tourists, the headaches of some tourists, and then the benefits of new lifeblood into your economy. And so one of the trends right now, we had, I think it was Patrick Mason, he talked about turbo tourists. A real fun word right there, but so turbo tourists are people who will come and visit your area once. They'll kind of fall in love with it, and they'll visit about 2 or 3 more times. They're typically decent in wealth. And after they visited about 3 or 4 times, they decide they want to buy a house up here, and they might stay in that house part year round. And what a lot of our small rural areas are doing is they're converting they're attracting turbo tourists who fall in love with the area. They become a seasonal person. They offer vacation rental property a lot of times, and they're bringing some new commerce into your county and into your area. That is one thing we had discussed a little bit, and the Patrick Mason guy, he does a lot of that through our business breakfast. He talked a lot about what is one of the main things Burnsville needs. He says signage to kind of get that experience going. Talking a little bit more about things, Yancey Business Builders Breakfast participants, Main Street merchants and outside experts agree there is a need for improved signage to maintain a healthy business district. And like I said, I want this discussion, just kind of talking in here. I'm not really saying, I'm not preaching at you to put you on the spot, Teresa.
But am I correct, though, that seems like we did, Denise, you could help me remember maybe better than I'm, that we did try to get signage, and it was through, I don't know if it's through DOT or not, but it was the Main Street program where the signage was available. And we weren't able to go there, and I can't recall why.
The Main Street program?
Yeah.
We
The
never,
signage was through Main Street, but
It-
I can't.
it was,
I'm
I
like
mean-
you, I can't remember.
I know at one time,
Wayfinding signs.
Well, yeah,
There's some wayfinding options,
Oh.
but I think that was when we,
but that's not what I got.
no, I think we got kicked out, and,
Yeah, y'all, there's some kind of issue about reporting, I think. It wasn't like you did anything illegal, but I researched it, and it was something to do with reporting deadlines. didn't
It
get
was,
met,
and,
didn't pass, and-
the former chamber lady did not turn in our data, and so we were kicked out for a couple of years.
And then you have to reapply, and you're not prioritized on the list.
No.
A Main Street person would be great.
But we were in bad
You're on-
water with
You're on
them.
probation for 2 years too, if you re-entered. I remember that.
yeah.
yeah.
And I don't think there's any funding in there anymore anyway.
But then they
I
came
don't
up
think
with
there's any funding in there anymore.
very strict rules that they would come and monitor all of our meetings, and if we didn't do everything right, they would not allow us back in. I mean, it just seemed,
You weren't guaranteed anything.
No.
It seemed like the
Even after all your-
the benefits didn't outweigh the,
well, I mean, we were very interested, but we just knew that maybe, I mean, in other words, it came down to basics, that if they came to a meeting, we had to let them know all of our meetings, and if they came and saw only a slither of business people, and maybe other people were just interested, you got some black marks.
About 2 years I looked hard into it, because I would love to have seen Burnsville get a Main Street
It,
director to have a full-time job of just bringing merchants together and doing initiatives. But diving into that beast, it did seem like they were very, red tape and everything. And I was like, you
Well,
guys
they were-
said, this is not worth my time to.
They were very unkind. We said it's through no fault of our own. We thought she had done her job, and she hadn't. And so they said, it doesn't matter, you should have been keeping up with her, and therefore we've blackballed you.
They were very unforgiving, and I think it involved some money, did it not? And even at that, you went back to square one and you weren't guaranteed anything.
Yeah,
So-
that's the vibe I got.
I think that was the bottom line.
Yeah, kind of like, I don't know, this is worth our time to run. So, yeah, I'm not looking for anything from Main Street, but you know, signage is really, it's not that far out of the budget. for-
And that's one thing that, Patrick, what was his last name again?
Oh, Mason.
Mason. The one thing he did, leave a thought with us after he left the meeting was that, you know, you need to introduce people through your front door, like you're having people come in the back door. And it's, you know, it's so much nicer to have a nice welcome through your front door to Burnsville and give that good first impression, then
Yeah.
they wanna stay. And that was one thing he had mentioned.
He wanted people to come this way instead of coming through the back doors, as you're talking about, which would be down where the Chevrolet place is and come up that way, and that's a turnoff. And that our signage should direct people to come in through South Main Street. Oh, I don't know, we just finally realized that it was just more than we could handle. We wanted to, but they just weren't very forgiving.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like I said, but, so, you know, you kind of look at that, that's kind of what I was pulling out, because I do talk a lot for our merchants, and I know that is something that was the loose end in our Burnsville business breakfasts, that it seemed like we were stonewalled about everywhere we turned with the signage stuff. And I said, well, I got you here, I'm gonna put a sale on signage to y'all, you know, I mean, it's all right. You can run me back to Mitchell County, but I was wanting Nancy to have some good signage to get folks in Burnsville. But now let me finish, I got just a few things here, and we'll go and I'll go. Burnsville messaging for signage. I'm all about messaging and marketing and things like that, trying to say, who's our client, how do we focus, if we're gonna pull things in, you know, kind of what we're doing, and there anything somebody I really enjoy working with is Brianna Robinson. She does a
Yes,
great job.
she's excellent.
I get her to teach a lot of the business breakfasts in the past, I've had her teach, so she and I talk about it, we nerd out on some occasion. Signage must be simple yet compelling enough to make visitors take notes. On your thing here, I got a little, it was a note board we did of this survey and folks at the breakfast about characteristics of Burnsville that we felt the customers responded to. And I have some of those listed, and I'll leave that for a later time, but one of the funny ones we had, and everybody wanted to agree on, that Burnsville is Hallmark-esque. Hallmark Channel, you know, okay, it's Christmas time, your wife will probably be watching Hallmark movies. As for me, I'm probably gonna be in the woods on a four-wheeler or something, but that's gonna be this time of year. And so Burnsville is Hallmark-esque. It's got an advantage right there with that romantic town square.
It has the charm.
The ability to take a stroll around it, so, you know, that's something our customers, our potential folks coming through, I believe would like to have. The walk-arounds, the Hallmark, the quaint, the laid-back. I think the one I put was kind of Andy Griffith-like style. I mean, that's a compliment. Some people may not see it that way, but I like that. So here's some signage ideas. I just kind of got a few things off the internet to look at, and then I got some phrasing, you know, down there. What we're wanting to do is just focus. You're driving by, you're not going to read a big list of things, but Burnsville Shops, Historic Town Square, you know, things that are just wayfinding points that they're going to read, they're going to quickly, they can convert. It's not a lot of money to put into it. So you kind of look at some of those, maybe putting the historic South Main Street or East-West Main Street, however that's designated, and let each one have its own little designation as folks come in. You know, got explore our romantic town square, Main Street, Burnsville, art, eats, shops, history. Messaging is what that's all about. And then you know, pretty much that's summing up a little bit of what I had to say. Number one, if you haven't been to a business breakfast, well, we're not having any in November and December because about everybody that goes to them is pretty busy with holiday sales. But starting back in January, we will fire back up and we will have presenters that are focused in for what our businesses need. On about 1 out of 10, I'll present, but a lot of times I'm hiring folks in to come and talk about things. So as the town, if you got my contact information, if there is a topic that you feel our merchants might need, feel free to contact me and let me know, and I will try to find an expert. If you have a speaker, I know Randy Banks up on Mountain Air has linked us up with some high power speakers.
He has.
To come down and talk. So, let me know on that. I'll be glad to help. So, Teresa, we appreciate you as mayor, buddy. We're gonna miss you on that side, but I believe Mr. Fox is gonna be a good partner in this as well. And we appreciate y'all partnering with Small Business Center. Any questions, I'm here to entertain.
Well, you've been a real plus for us, Alan. You stirred us up and woke us up, so to speak. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Alan.
All right, I think I'm gonna head back over the mountain. I do have a couple extra presentations to hand out if anybody would like.
I think you missed me, because I was scribbling notes.
Judy, you know.
I thought you had one.
I'll sit on this.
We'll hope to see you in the near future. And until then, happy four-wheeling and happy holidays.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, we'll move along now to our town manager's update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll start off with the FEMA process update. Shane and Leslie, and sometimes me, have been having weekly calls with our FEMA project manager. Every Wednesday, we're on the line with him and updating as we move along with the process of getting our projects listed and put into their portal and what documentation they do need from us. I think we have a total of 5 projects now, or is that down to 4? I think it's 5. I think it's 5. We've engaged an engineer, Preston Gregg, out of Waynesville, to provide cost estimates to FEMA inspectors when they come. That was on the advice of our project manager. Due to federal procurement policy, if you give an estimate as an engineer on a project, you are not allowed then to bid on the actual work for that project. So we ran into some difficulties with the engineering firms we typically use because they would rather be able to bid on a project than they would just come out and give an estimate. Mr. Gregg was the engineer for the town of Waynesville for 6 years, and he's out on his own now, and he's doing a lot of these FEMA estimates in Haywood County and the rest of western North Carolina. So he met with Shane Monday. Yes, Monday. And I think by the middle, end of next week, we should have some numbers from him. So once we get through this initial process of providing FEMA with all the information that they want, they submit our projects through something called the CRC, which is sort of a chain of different agencies. I guess they're all within FEMA, but different sections of FEMA that look at different parts of that before they give us an approval. The 5 projects we currently have listed are the culvert at the end of Azalea Lane, the culvert at the end of Meadow Road, the erosion at the catch basin at the intersection of Bowditch and Reservoir Road, the culvert and asphalt damage and washout in the field at the maintenance shed. We've completed replacement and repairs to a water line on Mitchell Branch, the camera that was destroyed at the water intake pumps up on Pensacola, and damage to the fence at Baker's Creek. And those completed projects were submitted for review and a self-certification application, which is basically if you get the work done, you can submit it to them, make a claim, basically. Next, our SOC, our Special Order of Consent with the Department of Environmental Quality. The update I've had on that is I've had multiple conversations with Tim Hine out of the Asheville Regional Office. Our application has been received in Raleigh and reviewed, and they have been working in Raleigh, their staff has, on putting together an agreement to present to us, which will lay out the projects they want us to get done, and a timeline to do those. We will obviously have an opportunity to negotiate and discuss and maybe change some of those things, but I don't think there's anything surprising. From what Tim has told me, it's pretty much what we've talked about all along, and some of the sewer projects that we currently have ongoing or have received funding for are gonna be in that list of projects they're gonna want us to complete. In exchange for that, it's our understanding still that they will lift the moratorium on sewer taps. So we'll wait and see that draft, but I think the 8th of November is when they'll have it finalized, and they'll get it to us, so we should be able to review it in December. West Main CDBGI grant for the West Main Sewer Interceptor. Staff, which included Leslie, Chad, and myself, had our startup meeting with Alyssa Rouse on October 27th, along with Michelle Ball from the High Country Council of Government. She's our grant administrator. And we went through with Alyssa a checklist of all the things that we needed to have in place now and going forward. So I think we're pretty much, we've got an understanding of what our expectations are going forward with the administration of the grant funding. And Michelle and myself and Shane met with the engineers from Withers Ravenel this morning, sort of as our kickoff meeting with them, talked about the project, looked at some mapping, talked about some timelines. The first thing that's due from them is the preliminary engineering report on December the 6th. And they expect to have it done by then. Then it'll go to DEQ for their review, which I think has to be finished up by March the 31st, something like that, I think they said, of next year. And that's when the environmental review will be done too. They are going to get surveyors out as soon as possible. Of course, everybody is backed up to start creating the map of the project area. We talked a little bit about some of the line that is located in what's currently shown as floodway on the FEMA maps, and the possibility of, I think it's about 1,000 linear feet, the possibility of deducting that from this project for the simple fact that if we have to make connections to the existing service lines, that's going to require digging, and CDBGI will not let you dig in a floodway. They will let you tunnel under it with, either boring or pipe bursting or cure in place. So we were trying to figure out what parts we might have some issues there. But it's not really a lot, and it's really just in town. It's within the city limits. So the majority or the bulk of what the work that needs to be done, it looks like it's not going to have those kinds of issues. Next, the elevator project. So I think Chad sent out to you guys the preliminary drawings. And those are sort of, I guess that's sort of the spec sheet to send out to contractors. I have emailed them to 5 contractors. This should be in the informal bidding range, so I don't think we're going to have any kind of formal bid process.
Is there anybody local that?
We sent them to Crowder Banks, Tyner Construction, and Tri-County Construction. And then we're required by statute to reach out to some underserved businesses. minority businesses, so I sent to 2 firms in Asheville also today.
What
that
is
are
the,
on that.
what is the deadline for them to,
December 1st is when we've asked for estimates or bids. I've heard back from one of the contractors who said they had a situation where they had estimates in front of ours, and it'd probably be a couple of weeks where they could get to it, but this isn't a huge project, so I hope that we will get estimates from most of the ones we submitted it to.
so nice, I can't wait to see it.
I think, if you look at really on this is the 3rd page, there's some good drawings. To kind of see, we've got the lower level on the bottom and then the upper level. We're gonna have, there's gonna be an update to our break room and bathroom there, in terms of how that flows, but I think it's gonna actually improve it. And then upstairs, we're gonna, gain some space out of that closet that we'll be able to hopefully put our hardware and stuff for our computer servers. Be a much better place for them. And Miss Bunny, I did check into how large the unit was and what it would accommodate, and that it should easily accommodate a wheelchair and an additional person.
Oh, good.
So, should be good.
When did you say bids were due on that?
December the 1st is when we've asked for the estimates. Since we're not relying on any other funding agency besides ourselves, we've got a little bit of leeway, but I didn't want to be sitting around to wait forever, so.
I had a question, but it's left me. Darn it.
You ready for me to move on, or did you think?
I can't think of my
If you
question.
do, okay, come back.
Okay, I will.
Last meeting, we talked about our contract with Water Quality Labs and Operations up in Banner Elk that provides ORC services, testing and testing materials services to the town for the sewer plant and for the, wastewater part up at the water treatment plant also. We've been with them a long time. They've had some changes in ownership, people that have retired and people that were partners who have taken over as running the company. And we asked them if they would agree. We had a 1-year contract with them to continue it for an additional year at the same terms and prices, and they were agreeable to do that. So tonight I have a resolution that I will need action on to amend the contract with Water Quality Labs. And then I also have the amendment, which basically just adds an additional year.
So we need a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution, and then a motion to approve the contract and authorize.
Okay, so we'll just take it, the first motion is to approve the resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a third and a fourth? Okay, and
then
then
the second one is to approve the amendment to the contract
yes.
and to authorize the mayor to sign it.
There you go, one of my last times, okay. So did we understand a motion to approve the amended contract and to allow the mayor to sign?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second.
third, fourth, okay, it's approved. Thank you all.
The next thing I have is our rural, is it rural transportation, Denise?
Yes.
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 With High Country Council Government, you have sat on that board, and your term has expired, but so we need to appoint someone else. Denise has said she would be agreeable to serve another term.
She has served us well, so I make that motion that,
With David Graham happy.
yes,
Second.
Okay.
Certainly agree.
and so it's unanimous. Carry on fiercely.
I will carry on.
Thank you.
And the last thing I have is just our tax report for October, and nothing has really changed. And you probably won't see a whole lot of changes until January 6th, when everybody's taxes become delinquent, so. I think y'all have, Chad had sent you a copy of the
Yes.
current report. So that is all I have.
Well, that's a very good report, and thank you very much. So we will now move on to the department updates, starting with Mr. Shane Dale. Ta-da.
Well, thank you. Charlie Brown Road, I guess a lot of people banks at State Employees Credit Union and noticed the river early in the morning running down through there for several months. That is now fixed now. Finally.
What was it? I mean,
It ended up being the service line going to Chip Banks's meter.
Yeah.
We hadn't dug down far enough on
You
each
didn't have
side.
to dig the road too.
We wouldn't have had to dug the road, no, we would not have. But we just didn't, apparently it's way down the hill from where that meter is, so everything didn't work out as like we planned, but it did work out, it's dry out there now.
Good.
And then also, the west overwater line going up to the fire department, that is finally complete. So now we're looking at trying to get some asphalt done up there, trying to get that street straightened out. And one other thing, the water leak, it was on Bowman's Creek. We did not think for a long time that was our water, because that water line's been broken and we had it turned off.
Yeah.
State dug it out the other day, and apparently the water was getting into that line from somewhere, so we put a new piece of pipe in up there and it's fixed, so it's dry, so.
Oh, that's
We
great.
won't hear anything else about that.
Well, thank you very much,
May I
Shane.
ask a question?
Yes,
Is that the one that was concerning Marvin Holland?
Yes, it
about
was.
his neighbor?
it was.
Thank you.
Yes, you're very right.
Good report.
It's been taken care of.
I
You need to
didn't
put
take,
it on
I never
Facebook
said a
and
word.
Instagram
I
and
just-
everybody that's got the private messages. It is fixed.
Oh, I think I told him to call you.
What
I
are,
didn't get that call, but
what
I
are
sent
friends
another
for?
I told
Messages.
him that I was sure that if he told our public works people, or if he contacted you, you would call the proper person, but I was,
Well, we were
I was-
glad that we got DOT involved
Yes, I
because
mean,
they
you know,
dug it up. so-
They did dig it up and we went up there and fixed it. you
in the
know.
first place, I said, well, I think your neighbor should be the one.
And they paved some over it real nice.
You know, he was the one, and I said, well, I think perhaps your neighbor would be the one to.
We had multiple conversations with his
Yeah, they had.
And I don't even know who his neighbor is.
A very nice man.
He caught me at church one day, you know how that is. You're
Who,
coming to
Marvin?
Church, and Marvin got me after church. And I said, well, I think perhaps your neighbor would be the one, or, well, now, I just, you know, and, so anyway, that.
Say no
Thank you so
more.
much, Mr. Dale.
No problem.
That was the end of it as far as I was concerned.
Well, it sounds like all's well that ends well, Shane. Okay, we will move on to our finances with Leslie Crowder.
Hello, everyone. I sent the budget versus actual out and the overtime report. Let's see.
Oh, where is it?
I sent an email this morning, I think it was. So I'll look at your email. But if you have any questions, let me know. And I'll answer anything you've got. First thing on my list here is the budget amendment that we done last month.
Yes.
I just flubbed up and I was thinking of fund balance and they're like $295 accounts or $299. So I accidentally put the liability account in the revenue line instead of the actual revenue line.
Well,
So I just
Horace,
it's these two numbers right here, and so I've just done an updated number 3. And the only thing different is it's 10,399 instead of 10,299 and 10,344. So the amounts are all the same. There's nothing changed. I've already fixed it in the budget, but I just need you to approve that one.
Well, I will make a motion to approve those adjustments as presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
Anyone, we're all unanimous with that.
All right.
But watch it.
I know, I'm sorry. I was like, oh, golly. I was getting too big away sometimes.
It's okay, Leslie, we're all okay.
We're all a little busy right now.
Yes, we
Um,
are.
Okay, so the next one is just kind of a line item transfer. It's not changing the bottom line of the budget at all. But we got a DOT planning grant, and so it's all in expenditures since there's nothing changing in the revenue. So down here, I'm decreasing the general fund reserve account by $3,500 and increasing the line that was not in the budget, but it's gonna be now, to $3,500. And then the next one is for the water line on Westover, Pinola. So this, we're gonna have to pull some lines and try to make some money for that. We were gonna cover that with the ARPA money, but we can't do that. They said no. So we're decreasing the labor line and increasing the capital outlay in the fire tax side by 12 on each side.
Okay.
Sorry, no.
It's like every day Niles is gonna kill me a little worse. So,
We certainly hope not.
Almost has to be happening.
I know.
It's done, it's done.
Hip, hip,
just
hooray,
these nice
Niles.
little things. I need you to approve that as well, please.
I'll make
Okay.
a motion to approve.
Thank you, Russell. Is there a second to that?
Second.
And are we all in agreement?
Yes.
Well, you lucked up, it's approved.
I know, I'm telling you, my luck's gonna run out one day. So, all right, the last thing is this grant, project ordinance. This is the Indian Trail Meadow Road grant,
Yeah,
and this is the craziest thing ever, but got done quicker and cheaper, but we have to pay out the administration, but the commerce or whoever wants a portion of that back because it was under budget. So we have to actually, yeah,
well, my goodness.
we actually have to, cover that. So it's $2,200, $2,206. And so I had that all covered with the CDBG before, it was $1,100,000.
Yeah.
So now I've just decreased that, and it's not actually fully that amount, but the local match, 2206. And down in the expense line, I've just added reimbursement for administration in between those two big lines.
Well, I don't know why we can't keep it, but thank you. Do I
Well,
need
I
to approve
know.
that?
Had to write it twice because FedEx lost it once.
Do we need to approve that,
Yes,
Leslie?
please.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
We're all in agreement? Well, I would have thought strike three and you're out, but I guess not.
On the CDBGI, what happens is you can take 10% of your total project for administration.
Yeah,
But if your project comes in under budget, they want whatever's left over back out of administration. Well, there was no administration money left because the COG had already taken it for their part in administering the grant. So it's gotta come back from somewhere. It came back from us. But that's, for what we got, over $1 million worth of,
Yeah.
we can't
For
complain.
$2,200.
$2,200 for 987,000 of public sewer improvement. That's pretty good deal.
Well, I guess. Okay. That sounds good, though. Thank you very much,
And then
Leslie.
I updated, the financial statement just so everybody can see how much we had.
Mm-hmm, I saw
And
that.
I updated the pie chart, but I forgot the date to fix that. So
That's-
there's my third strike, I'm out.
Okay, no, I believe it's your fourth strike, but,
Yes, I know,
so, do we need, would you like for us to approve this quarterly?
no.
Okay.
I just, it was, yeah.
Okay, well, we've got it. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on from Leslie to Niles Howe in his new building. Woo-hoo. Now, when did you officially kind of make the full transition, Niles?
We moved trucks a week ago, not this past Monday night, but the Monday night before. Mainly because they cut our phone and our internet off over here, so we had to go there.
Good grief. So everything working okay?
It's working okay. We still got a lot of stuff to move, but everything we need to operate's over there already, so we're running calls out there. And okay right now with that, so
Good.
we're all trying to get used to it.
Oh, I'm sure that's been a
Keep
hardship.
from turning into town and go the
Yeah.
right way to get there and kind of thing. Old habits are hard to break, you know? So, but we're enjoying it. Thank you very much.
Great.
On the operations side, just I passed the monthly report out to you. We are up to 341 calls for the year. Looks like if we continue our present trend, we'll be have a little bit fewer calls this year than we had last year, by maybe around 40, 50 calls. So that's encouraging. So, but we seem to have a rash of fire alarms lately. We had 12 this month. Some of them were maintenance issues at some of the nursing homes. They were painting, and every time they paint, they set off the alarms, and they
Really?
getting people to turn off the monitoring companies is not always an easy job, so we ended up running to some of them several times, but it works out good. We're okay. The building project, for the most part, is complete. We are getting the radios installed. They installed one of them today and coming back tomorrow to put a couple more in. We unfortunately have 3 that are on back order, and since they are computer type devices and needing chips, they're on back order. We don't know how long it'll be, so, but we'll get there with those. So, but we do have radios now that are operating, and that is about the only thing left, I think, to do with the building is getting the radio room finished up, and then it should be totally complete. The DOT funding update, we did, you were advised we were going to be able to apply to see if we could get money from DOT for the paving, and
Yes.
I've got most of the information gathered with Heather's help for the town side of it, and Leslie, we got most of y'all's information. I did get the paid invoices from Crowder Banks for the concrete, and I talked to Young McQueen today, and they're sending me the paid invoices for the paving. I have to have those in hand in order to send the packet in to get it, so hopefully I'll get that all together either tomorrow or Monday and be ready to send it off. I did the calculations because everything we did was by a cubic yard, and they want everything priced square yard, so I had to do some conversions and measurings and that
Good
kind of
Lord.
thing. So, but we got it all worked out, and I think we'll be able to send it off on time. You do have in your packet, I hope, the contract with the county.
Yes.
Our contract with the county did expire June 30th, I believe, of this year. And we are a little different than the other fire departments. Our contract's a 5-year contract. The other agencies in the county are perpetual. The only time they change if something changes in their contract agreement. But ours has to be renewed every 5 years, so it's time for it to be updated. And I picked it up today from the commissioner's office, and so if y'all would take that into consideration and consider entering in that agreement with the county, I have to have that agreement in hand for the inspection I've got coming up on the 29th.
So we need to officially approve that if possible this evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we do have that agreement in our packet. Does anyone need a little moment or two to read it?
Is it, I didn't see it in this, is it?
Yeah, it's in your packet.
It's basically an agreement with the county for fire protection in the rural fire district, which is outside of town, and that's where we get our fire tax from. And it specifies in the contract that we're getting 8 cents on the 100 property valuation fire tax from that rural district. And it's the agreement with them that says we'll provide protection for that rate of fire tax, so.
Is the date right, July 1st, 2020 to 30th of June, 2025?
It
Yeah,
should,
because it expired.
it should
Oh,
be
it expired.
It's
21.
retroactive.
Well, it was 20. Did it expire in 20?
It was 20.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's right.
so those
Yeah,
dates
that's
are
right.
correct.
That's right.
So I guess we need to have a motion to approve that,
Yes.
and
I'll
I'll
make that
entertain
motion.
that.
For
Second.
me.
Okay, and Bunny, how say ye?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's been approved, and good for you, Niles. And our last thing
Obviously
is,
have been operating a year without a contract, but they've been paying us, so that's
They gave us
good.
the money.
They gave us the money, so that's good.
that is real good for you, Niles.
They're putting it on their Tuesday night agenda, on their consent agenda. So
Okay, good. Do
And like
any
I
of-
say, the reason it gets overlooked is because ours is the only one of the 8 that's a 5-year term. The others are perpetual, so it's easy for it to get lost.
So
in the
you'll
shuffle.
be there at their meeting to present, or how does that work?
They'll just present it, it's on their consent agenda, I
Okay.
believe, so.
Good. Well, now, we were looking at a ribbon cutting date for the beautiful fireplace, the beautiful firehouse.
Anytime that's convenient for y'all, we won't have everything moved in.
That's
But we
okay.
can do a ribbon cutting and maybe an open house when we get everything kind of in place, but the ribbon cutting would be great.
Well, it kind of makes it official that
Yeah.
you have arrived. I know we have down the 9th. I wonder, is the 10th as good as the 9th, or how do people feel about that? That would be a Wednesday.
Calendar, I left it on the
We would probably just do the ribbon cutting and say some nice words, and we could do some mild refreshments. I mean, the town would help you with that. And Jody's there to take the picture, and it's official, you're in.
Yeah.
Does the 10th work as well as the 9th? That was my question.
Those for me.
Russell?
Yeah.
What time?
Well, would we do it in the either late morning or early afternoon? What would work best with your firemen, Russell? Or we need to think about the firemen, because it is for them.
Is the 10th on a Wednesday?
Yes.
They're pretty much
Is
out
that
till
the
after 5
second
o'clock, so if you, unless you want to do something in the evening,
Yes.
you just, anytime's good.
It's next week. I mean, I wouldn't be available in the morning, but
Well, what if we did it, in the afternoon? But you're saying any time is fine with your firemen?
Well, no, most of them don't get off until 5 o'clock, so unless you're gonna do something in the evening, any time in the day is fine.
Well, I know, but would it be better to have it at 5:30 so they would come? I mean, it is for them and their building. I mean, I would hate to do it without them, wouldn't you?
It's not dark about
now it doesn't matter, just because I'm not available in the morning, I mean,
It will be.
morning hours are bad.
So,
It's
it.
close- it's
It'll,
getting close
it'll
to
probably
being
be
dark.
dark at 5:30
Yeah,
by next
this
week.
next week it will be.
well, if we said 5 o'clock, would they be able to get there?
Probably not. There's so many of them that work out of town and places like that. I mean,
Set the
they-
tones off, call the structure fire in. 3 o'clock.
Well, we get a few of them in a lot of mutual aid.
There you go. You'd have Ricky Chandler.
Ricky Chandler be there.
Well, okay, so who is your assistant under you?
Randy Prop.
So, Shane could be there.
I could get 2 or 3 of them maybe.
Okay, well,
They're down at Heritage Lumber. There's about 2 or 3 down there, but I could probably get a couple of them to come. There'd be a few could come during the day.
well, would 4 o'clock be a better time then, that some might be able to leave work a little bit early?
Oh, you just say, we'll see who shows up. That's all I can promise you.
What about a Saturday?
Saturday, the 13th,
More show up on a Saturday, probably?
or are they elsewhere?
They're elsewhere.
Well,
There are
wait.
also some of them working on Saturday.
So, wait a minute,
I know
How
you're
about
trying, I know you're
Sunday?
trying to get them, but it's hard.
Well, Niles, but what about a Sunday afternoon? On the 14th? I mean, I hate not to have them there. This is something,
But now, you chose the 9th for some reason. What was your reasoning in choosing the 9th?
Sorry, I didn't choose the night.
Oh, I
Okay.
just saw the 9th.
so, I mean, can I backtrack to my, Niles? What if we did it on a Sunday afternoon?
That's fine with me.
I mean, but do you think maybe more would come?
Yes, I do.
Well, let's do it on Sunday, the,
14th.
I've got a problem there. Well, I don't have to be there. Well,
The other two that are out, I mean,
if we did it on the 21st, would that be too late?
I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's go ahead and schedule for next week. The closer we get to the 29th, that's my date of that inspection, and I have a tremendous amount of work to do between now
So,
and then.
Sunday the
I would
20,
rather get this kind of going and,
if we do it on the 9th, it's just gonna be a sort of a ceremonial ribbon cut.
I know, but I just think,
And
but-
then have
we can do open house
have an
later.
open house later. And I don't know.
okay, I'll just ask this one time, and probably it's no. What if we did it on Sunday the 21st?
That's fine.
I mean, that way that, I mean, that's leading into Thanksgiving week and we all can be thankful. Well, I mean, really, I just,
Exactly right.
so watch it snow, but I would like to propose the 21st at maybe, everybody gets through dinner or lunch. How about 3 o'clock? Is that too late? What are you doing, Russell? Bear hunting?
Yeah, but that's
I
fine.
swear.
No, that's fine. Seriously, that's fine, but I will be gone. That's fine with me.
Okay, well, would 2 o'clock be an easier time? It's not as cold, I mean, but are people through eating lunch? Well, I'm just gonna strike a happy medium. 2:30, the 21st at 2:30. We will cut the ribbon and say a few kind words and hope it isn't snowing. Okay, so is everybody okay with that?
I'm good.
Okay, so, Niles, we need to put up a poster or two over there so your guys know about it.
I'll tell them.
Okay, where's my pen? So it's the 21st at 2:30 in the afternoon. Jody, you got that?
I'll be working, I'll run over there.
What'd she say?
She works on Sundays, but she would run over there.
Okay, so it's set. We'll talk to you more about it a little later, but let's just, at least the date is set. We kind of know what we're doing. Okay. Anything else, Niles, with your good report?
No, I have contacted Joey Robertson about a sign, and he's supposed to be coming to look at locating it and helping me size it, so we'll try to get a sign up before too long.
Where's my pen? Okay, so we'll move on then, and let's see, we are now to Brian.
I passed out our activity report for the month. The only event we had was Halloween last Saturday. It was a very successful event despite the weather and everything else. That was one of the largest, if not the largest, turnouts of children and families that I've seen. So it was a very popular event.
And I was never so glad not to have children or grandchildren.
It was full.
Tell them
Because
about
of the weather.
tell them about the star performance that arrived.
The what?
About the star performers who arrived.
Oh, well, we had a family of dinosaurs that wandered the square.
You wouldn't have believed it. I mean, they
I
were
saw that.
colossal, just like
They were
all of
very
us.
popular, very popular with the kids.
That was neat.
Many photos were taken, but it was.
Had what?
Dinosaurs, these
There was,
gigantic,
what, 4
and they all looked alike, 4 or 5, and they just kind of waddled around. You thought, My God, where did they come from?
There was some
There was some
interesting
very creative
costumes.
costumes, and then everybody seemed to have a pretty good time. Like I said, it was very well attended. And I think the concert went on that evening with no problems that night. That's really as far as police. With regard to zoning and code enforcement, Heather and I have been working on the a revision for the subdivision ordinances. I think we mentioned in the past, they are from 1969, our current ones, so they're in need of updating. She's been working on it for a while, then I've kind of started assisting now about actually putting the final touches on that. We're hoping to get that ready to go to planning for a recommendation at the planning's next meeting. And then hopefully, if that process goes well, be coming to y'all maybe for approval sometime in the early spring, late winter, early spring time. But we're hoping to get that finished up. And the only other update I really had is I've got 2 more weeks left on this certified zoning officer class that I'm taking, and hopefully by the next meeting I'll be certified. A certified something. But,
You'll be certified with something?
a certifiable.
Certifiable.
Unless anyone has any other questions, that's pretty much what I have.
Well, good. Just wrap it up with an A+. Okay. Thank you, Brian, very much. That, you've covered everything that from D and E, so I'm gonna move on to Mr. Corbin.
Yeah, so, still doing pretty good here the last week. This week we're a little on the slow side, but, this Saturday we have a Christmas ornament craft show, so come by and be goody. Next week we have 2 weddings towards the end of the week, so that'll be fun and exciting. Going into December, we got a couple events coming up, but it's mostly just private events, not a whole lot of public stuff going on, but most part, we're still rocking and rolling. If you guys have any questions, I'll happily answer them.
Well,
Yes,
good.
my big smile is Matt, sorry.
Well, we're glad things are beginning to rock and roll. Let's see, she is not here, but am I correct that the Christmas parade will be on the 4th, December the 4th? Is that correct? So, you 3 take heed. 4 o'clock. I mean, I don't know what time, but it's on the 4th, excuse me. Now, under my report, you get the minutes from the High Country Council of Government. I do have down here the Yancey Theater, and Jamie can elaborate a little bit more when we get to him, but it concerns me as leaving you as mayor that there is a serious need for the Yancey Theater to survive. It's too important as an economic engine for our little town's businesses. We're very fortunate to have it, even though it's about to cave in. And so, I mean, I know for a fact that people as far away as the children at Cross North School make a day outing of coming to watch our movie and eat out and just have a good time. So I would like your permission as an outgoing mayor to work with Jamie and whomever else he can tie in to work with the group on how we can save it before it is of no more. That's about the long and short of it. And I'll let Jamie add a little further to it, but I would like your permission that I can be involved with that because I feel very close to it, having grown up going to Saturday afternoon movies every day of my life when I was little. So with your permission, I would like to serve, if there is such a committee, and I think there has to be, to serve on that committee to help find funding, people with interest, and so on.
Well, I'd just like to say that I'm thrilled to hear you say that because it's just, I love the movie theater. I love going to the movies there and it's my favorite entertainment, although I love Parkway Playhouse, but our little movie theater is my favorite form of entertainment in Burnsville. And I would be terribly sad to see it gone. So I think that's fabulous.
we don't want it to be torn down, and we hope we can save it before it falls down.
And lots of people go to the movie. I mean, when it was operational, lots of people went to the movies.
Well, I mean, there's some unfinished business with it. We've got to locate the apparatus that runs the movies. We understand it's no longer there.
Is that right?
We don't know. We just,
No,
we-
I'll take that later.
anyway, I am making a motion that you would allow me to work with Jamie on it.
Well, I second it. If you're making the motion, I second.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea, but I don't see why that, you have to ask us.
well, I'm gonna
You
be,
can do it yourself.
I'm gonna be representing the town with Jamie
Oh, okay,
and
well,
come back and report accordingly.
okay,
Go for it.
yeah.
Well, we may
I think
go
it's great.
nowhere, but you know, at least
Well, you don't know till you try.
that's true, Judy, so I would appreciate that endorsement.
And I've always thought, I mean, in recent years, I thought, yes, it is a movie theater, but I've always thought it could be used for things besides showing movies, that it might have that possibility to be used.
Well, I just hate more than anything else that they closed off the door that leads upstairs to the balcony from the outside. That was for the black people to use. It would put it on the National Register as a historic building, but with that distinguishing feature now gone, I mean, anybody can go up that side door if it were there, but it's a reminder of our past and our history, which I'm not.
And they might be, well, you just have to look into all those.
Yes, but anyway, I have your unanimous consent to work with Jamie. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I mean, I hope we will have something to report, and on that cheerful note, Jamie, it's now time for you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor Emeritus, thank you for your kind words. Mr. Mayor-elect, the last time I was in a room with this many mayors, it was at the League of Municipalities, so, you have a wealth of mayors with you this evening, so, I would like to say briefly, though, I know your valedictory is not until next month, I will say.
That's right.
It has been a pleasure to work with you as mayor.
Thank you.
You've had a lot of accomplishments over your tenure, of which you should be deservedly proud, and I'm sure you are, and we
Thank
are
you.
proud with you. And with regard to the Yancey Theater, I know long before you were mayor, we worked together on the library and many other things, so I've no thought that just because you're not mayor that you won't be engaged in the welfare of the community, and certainly we appreciate that.
Thank you, Jamie.
Appreciate you. And Buddy McIntosh, same goes for you. It's been a great pleasure to work with you as you've sat here as counselor. Appreciate your service as well. And Russell, you could scarcely be coming along as mayor at a more interesting and exciting time, I think, for the town of Burnsville. So certainly congratulations to you on your election, and look forward to working with you as we carry on. One thing that I did want to update you on a project, if you're willing to move forward with it, you have to take some further action at a future meeting, a formal notice of hearing, but I wanted to at least review with you a proposal and then either have your blessing or not about how you choose to move forward with it. Heather and I have discussed this previously. I guess it was end of last week, and sent a proposal to her prior to. Two things. Yancey County EDC for a few years now has operated a program for small business startups that we call the Downtown Entrepreneurship Assistance Program. We started that chiefly because most of the incentive programs that we have are geared toward large businesses, not small startups. So we wanted to have something in place that allowed an incentive for people who were starting small businesses here on Main Street in Burnsville or anywhere within the town limits. Since we created that program, we've dispensed $20,000 in grants to many new startups here in the town of Burnsville, and that was after taking 2020 off, basically. We sort of suspended that program to divert funding to other things in the middle of COVID, when we were in the middle of the economic impact of the lockdown. So that's a program that we've operated. It's been widely used. We've made 4 of those grants this year. I've been pleased to be a part of participating in 4 of those startups, and we hope that it's continued to be used by folks as the town continues to grow. You may also remember, speaking of steps that we took during COVID, that we established in partnership with EDC and the town and the county a loan fund, which we call the COVID-19 Small Business Assistance Fund. The town committed $20,000 for that. EDC put in $20,000. The county put in $60,000. We capitalized a $100,000 loan fund. The purpose of that loan fund was to make emergency lending to businesses that had stopped their cash flow because they had closed due to COVID. To that program, we received 9 applicants. 6 of those qualified. We were able to make loans to 6 companies that stayed in business during COVID. Because of loan funding they were able to obtain from us while they waited for their small business loans to be processed. Excuse me. At the end of the second quarter of this calendar year, May Coalition administers that loan fund for us. They provide us biennial updates. We had $88,612 remaining in that loan fund. Most of them had been paid back. There are 3 loans that were still outstanding as of the close of the second quarter of this year. My anticipation by the close of the year, the calendar year, that most of those will be retired according to their payment schedule, which would pretty much put that $100,000 back in place. The town, when you made your contribution to the fund, was by memorandum of agreement with EDC for your $20,000, which I think that was in effect until October of this year. Thankfully now we don't have a lockdown because of COVID. We don't have to worry about businesses suffering loss of cash flow or revenue while they're shut, but we are seeing quite a takeoff in small business startups in Burnsville. It would be my desire to sort of beef up the Downtown Entrepreneurship Assistance Program that we have by adding a loan component to businesses that wanted it on top of the grant that we offer. So my proposal to the council would be to look at restructuring that loan fund and turning it from a COVID business assistance program to a small business startup fund. That would allow people who qualified for the DEAP grant, so they're making the required incentive guarantees that they would have to under the Local Economic Development Assistance Act, to also, if they wanted to leverage subsidized loan funding, they could access that as well. That would make that program more attractive to some of our startups, and we could do a better job of providing financial assistance to them if we add this loan component on top of the grant component. In order for us to do that, of course, we're going to have to look at how we would structure that. Heather and I've had a conversation about it. My request to you is that, is council agreeable to look at transitioning that loan fund? Of course, my board has approved it. The board of the May Coalition, which administers the loan fund for us, has approved it. The county commissioners have it on their agenda to consider on Monday when they meet next week. We would have to do a subsequent notice of hearing and go through a formal presentation of a proposal that we would iron the details out. But my request to you is, generally as a concept, is the council supportive of us taking that $100,000 and transitioning it, since we've already got it appropriated in a loan fund, to make it a small business startup fund rather than a COVID relief.
It was structured previously as capped out at $10,000, correct?
Right.
Are you looking at maybe doing?
We may. One of the things that I would like to transition this loan fund for is that I've also had some conversations with Sarah Thompson at Dogwood Health. If you look at some of the grants that they made toward the end of this year, they've announced they're closing out their calendar year of grants. They provided entrepreneurship assistance funds for business startup loans through Mountain BizWorks. And Sarah had said if other communities and other counties through federally qualified lenders would like to set up similar programs, we would be open to investing along with the communities in those as well. So there will be an opportunity for us to grow that fund. If we took it to $250,000 or, $350,000 or even $500,000, I would look at raising the cap on those loans to be more effective.
Well, it certainly seems a very positive move to take.
I think that since we have the money set aside, we had a good rate of repayment May Coalition has been very enthusiastic
Yeah.
about administering the program. It provides us a position to be able to, attempt to partner with Dogwood and others to grow the fund too. Entrepreneurship is a large component of their strategic focus for the coming year and their economic opportunity grant. So I think that there's really a chance for us to make that more impactful. And I get a lot of requests on a regular basis from people who are considering starting up small businesses here. And it's hard to tell them sometimes, if you were creating 20 jobs or 15 jobs, and if you were investing $1 million, that opens up a wealth of more opportunities for us to assist you with. But if you're not at that threshold, we're really limited in what we can offer as assistance. I've been pleased that we've had as much impact making the small grants that we make, but I think it puts us in an even better position to say we really want to participate with investing in small business too.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Does anybody have any questions before we take a vote?
I have one. I know when we talked about this before, about possibly rolling it over into a new loan.
Right.
Will this just be for startups, or will this also be open to existing businesses?
So if we make it a component of our DEAP grant program, the guidelines for that program provide that the grant is available for new startups or expansion of existing business. And I would imagine it would be my preference to make the loans available along the same guidelines. So either startup or an expansion of an existing business.
So, Jamie, you said your board, EDC board, had already approved. What did they approve exactly?
So we have outlined a proposal of limits of lending, very similar to sort of what we had previously, but really making it fall in tandem with the guidelines for our DAP program. Heather has had some discussion with me and said we may need to tweak that somewhat, and we can work through those details. It would be, if you were agreeable with it as a concept, we would bring to you well in advance of a meeting to consider it, what the revised guidelines were. I have a revised proposal, but I think we may need to work through that.
So your question then this evening is that we endorse the concept.
Right. We're in the position where really, technically, our memorandum expired in October. So one of two things we need to do to clean up our books. Either if the town is willing to look at transitioning that loan fund, we'll just leave everything sitting where it is, invested in the account held at May Coalition, and then we'll work through a memorandum of agreement. Or if the council didn't want to proceed with it, then I would go ahead and pull that money out and return it to you, basically.
No, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the concept and that you keep us abreast from henceforth forevermore.
I would like to second that motion.
Okay, is there a third and a fourth and a fifth?
Thank you.
Russell, did you, okay. Okay,
And we'll, as I've told Heather, we'll just, if you guys are ready to move forward with it, and I certainly thank you for that, we'll iron out details and come back to you with formal approval at a future
Okay.
meeting. And with regard to the Yancey Theater, we'll see what we can accomplish there. It's difficult sometimes if a property is in private ownership. I can say there's been no interest of folks who've expressed a desire to purchase that building and do good things with it, but we'll just have to see where that conversation goes with the
Thank
current
you.
owner, and we'll grind away and see what happens, certainly.
okay, and if I could talk to you briefly after the meeting.
Sure.
Thank you.
Unless you have any other questions for me, I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Jamie, as always, for your good report.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We are certainly, I hope they know how valuable you are to us. So don't let them snatch you away, or we'll have to go get them. Okay, let's see, we are at the end, I believe, of our agenda,
We
which I...
have one more item.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's right here. We need to appoint, thank you, Heather, how I lost this, but anyway, we have an applicant for the Advisory Board of Commissions. This is in the form of Teresa Bryant Brown would like to be considered to be a planning board alternate. You've read her resume, and so how say you?
I make a motion that we do it. She would be an asset, most definitely.
She would be. How do you feel, Bunny?
Oh, I think so as well. I would second that motion.
Okay, Denise
I agree.
and Russell. Well, there's a motion and a second, so all of those in agreement say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it's done. The deed is done.
Now over to the end.
Yes, since I lost my agenda and my computer has gone dark. Anyway, so now we are at the end of this. There's no need for a closed session. Our next town council meeting will be December the 2nd, when we inaugurate three new board members. In saying that, I want to thank you all as a board. You've been wonderful to work with, and I will miss you. All the best to those of you who still linger and serve. So, having said that,
I'll make a motion.
we're adjourned.
I'll second.
Oh, I know, when you